So what you just said is the percent of occupancy of the lot is lower, is higher on this lot.
I would think from looking at it, I don't have the actual number, but if you look from here across the street, you see how small the lot is there. But it seems like a big, vast piece of property, and it's not as jam-tight in there.
Gentlemen, can I ask you, instead of speaking to each other, can you speak loud enough for the people in the back to hear you?
This is between us, not necessarily between the
It's a
open.
public hearing.
No,
No, it isn't a public hearing, it's actually close to the public hearing.
I understand, but you do need to speak loud enough so everybody can hear you, please. Okay, I know you're talking among yourselves, but they do have the right to be able to hear everything you say. So just get real close to the mics.
Okay.
Lean in and drool. If you're not drooling on them, you're not close enough.
Mr. Chairman, we can go to the next standard.
Okay.
That the relief to be granted is the least relief necessary. I think for this project, the burden is on the applicant to provide sufficient, adequate, and verifiable information for this standard to be satisfied. If it isn't or hasn't been, then the board must rely on the available record to determine if the standard is met. Financial information that met the standard hasn't been released. I think testimony of at least 3, if not all 4 expert witnesses indicated that no consideration was given to less than 20 dwelling units. There's an amenity deck with a rooftop pool. The density is driving most, if not all, of the other variances. 4 units are allowed by right. That's probably not feasible. Versus, but it's 20 is the project size. It's 5 times what is allowed by right, or 400% increase. Alternatives offered by independent experts were discounted without more supporting information. It appears, I'm speaking for me, that this is close to the most relief possible, not the least.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that this is not the least relief necessary. Definitely not. Just looking at all the variances and having to allow 4 units and putting 20, just that statement alone could not be the least relief necessary. There's no way possible.
Mr. Chairman, there's one final standard. The board shall, in addition to the above standards, require that evidence be entered into the record of the proceedings to show that in granting a dimensional variance of the hardship that will be suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, shall amount to more than a mere inconvenience. And here's the relevant part. The fact that a use may be more profitable or that a structure may be more valuable after the relief is granted shall not be grounds for relief.
Can you just take that standard and apply it to the facts? You've read the statement, but can you tell us why you think? Remember the cause. It doesn't amount to more than a mere inconvenience because.
I'm homing in on the fact that the use may be more profitable, or that a structure may be more valuable after the relief is granted. I think that's the part of that that's applicable.
And Charlie, I think it should be noted that this board provides the least amount of relief. In this particular case, I feel that financial hardship as a relief, I wasn't provided with enough financial information, the board wasn't provided with enough financial information to truly draw a conclusion that there was a financial hardship in the respect to either financing or the number of units. So I do think that should be noted that in respect to relief, we were providing the least amount of relief. You noted, you made a mention of the most amount of relief. I wouldn't be able to tell you if it's the most or the least, because from a factual perspective, we haven't received any information to what level of financial hardship there is and to what level of relief we're providing. Aside from testimony from Mr. Scotti that stated that the project wasn't feasible unless the entire 20 units were built and developed.
He did make that statement, but during testimony, he said he didn't know what would be feasible. That was the testimony that I
So
recall.
that's what you got out of it.
Right.
I got, it needs 20, you got, well, 20 is a great number, but that may not be the absolute number. That's all.
So in other words, what I'm hearing from you, that you consider that the reasons presented for you for the hardship were essentially showing that it would be more profitable and more valuable. And also that the lack of information as to the level of hardship. There wasn't a match of the numbers between the feasibility and the 20 units. You didn't have a pro forma that said, okay, this can only be done at 17 units, and showing therefore that the cost of construction of 17 units exceeded the return on the building, and 20 was the minimum number to do it. You just had the statement of Mr. Scotti without supporting numbers that 20 was the minimum. Is that correct?
Correct.
Which also, in relation to the testimony from this comes down to the tax credits, was the testimony that the 20 units were necessary for the tax credits.
Right.
Which causes you to believe that the number 20 is driven by the tax credits profitability rather than financial feasibility.
Straight up.
Correct. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to agree, but it was unnecessary.
Could you talk about how you feel there was significant testimony by Mr. Lusk about alternatives. Can you discuss if you found that credible or not? And if so, why or why not, as alternatives that it could be built on a smaller basis, or relevant or not?
Mr. Lusk has appeared before us several times. I find him credible. I thought his proposal deserves some consideration, and it was based on the information that he had.
So if I can be frank, I took even though Mr. Lusk has appeared before this board as an expert previously, in this particular case, I took Mr. Lusk's testimony as I would any other opposer. To be frank, gentlemen, if you want to build an addition and you're too close to the side yard setback and your neighbor wants to come in and draw a brand new set of plans on how you can make that addition farther away from his side yard, that's great, but it doesn't necessarily impact my decision. It was nice to have him go through the time and the exercise of showing variable options, but again, it's an opposer that is providing options and trying to be civil, I think, in what information he's pursuing, or to what end he's pursuing the information he's providing.
And I agree with you, but we still were talking 12 variances or 12 or 13 variances by 14. So to me, I like the more commercial on Thames Street. I thought that was good, even at the expense of some of the parking, because I'm not even sure how much parking is really required. However, to me, there really is no difference between 12 variances and 14 variances at this time. And they're essentially the same variances that we're talking about.
Yeah, if I could jump in just
I agree.
just 1 second. Quite frankly, Mr. Lusk wasn't privy to the information. He didn't know what the true financial cost was to the applicant. So the numbers that he decided to present could easily be skewed to whatever end he is looking to achieve. So was it a very nice testimony? Yes, it was nice. But aside from that, it wasn't factual.
I'm going to suggest we're probably spending too much time on this because I'm not hot over. I just said he was credible.
Okay.
I just found him credible. I think he's credible.
I guess if I can summarize what I'm hearing, and if you disagree, tell me. But what I'm hearing is that he was not a basis for your decision as far as the least relief necessary. That was based more on the lack of evidence that the applicant didn't meet their burden of proof to you, rather than choosing to believe him over the other architect. It was more the lack of the proof from the applicant.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
That's fine. I just want to know, what to include and not include.
If you had 5 different architects here, they would have 5 different drawings of that building. That's how they are. So you can do it so many different ways. There's so many ways you can build so many different things on that building. So this is the route they took. I don't know if it's going to work out for them, but there are different routes you can take in different avenues, and I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, anybody can pick whatever they want to do avenue.
Yeah, I just wanted to have it so I would know one way or another. I don't want to put my views into this. I want to put your views into it.
I would have loved to see a little more commercial on that building. It's only one.
Microphone, just.
You've only got one unit, it's going to be commercial, and it's taking up the majority of the building. I was hoping to see at least, 3 if possible, or at least another one somewhere. Even if you went upstairs and made commercial upstairs. There's no commercials, strictly living quarters. That's my only concern about a little more commercial to blend in with the other buildings in the area.
Okay.
Well,
So that would, in your view, that it would impair the intent of the zoning ordinance and the comprehensive plan, just having that one commercial unit.
Yes, definitely in the commercial, the comprehensive plan. Definitely, what I was saying, definitely does not seem to be in line with the comprehensive plan of only having one commercial unit. The comprehensive plan is trying to get businesses, people walking, a nice environment, and a big front parking doesn't do that.
Yeah, if I could just jump on Don. I keep jumping on Don. I apologize. But to look at the comprehensive plan of the town and what is allowed by code in the historic district, the historic waterfront district, using this particular new construction in trying to fit it into the guidelines of the comprehensive plan. Though this development is written into the comprehensive plan of the town, I'm sorry. No, there's a challenge there. So I can understand that there's definitely a need for relief given the size of this particular project. Again, I don't believe it comes down to the least amount of relief that's necessary.
Just for I'm going to try to clarify the way I look at it. It's mentioned in the comprehensive plan. It's not dictated by the comprehensive plan. It's not managed by the comprehensive plan. That comes down to this board and the ones that preceded us. So it mentioned it as a positive factor at the time. So the project needs to be judged based on its merits at this time. So it wasn't reapproved, I guess is my point.
Oh, no, totally, that's agreed.
Okay, so we're going through all the standards, right?
Anything, I'm good if everybody else is. Mr. Solicitor, do you have anything that? Karen?
I'll speak.
I've just been looking through the standards that we must adhere to for approving or denying a dimensional variance, and I find some that would qualify the applicant to receive relief, and I find some that don't. Our guidelines state that the applicant must meet all of the standards, and the ones I have a problem with. Number 3, I agree with what my colleague said. The granting of the requested dimensional variances will alter the general characteristic of that area, for sure. Number 4, the relief requested to be granted is not the least relief necessary. I agree with that. You know, the horse has left the barn, but I would like to have seen a budget for the project, for the 20-unit project, a budget for the project had it been 15 units or 10 units, so that we could make a determination whether or not it was the least relief necessary. That's my 10 cents.
Thank you. So we covered all the standards for you.
Hold on, I'm just finishing my notes.
There.
So, can I just have a minute?
Sure.